Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Rag Home Bag. On tonight's program, we're going over Isom 2. So without further ado, may I introduce to you, Mr. Q.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Rag or Mag. I am your host, Q. Today we're going to be going over Isom number 2, which is the second outing for Eric July in the comic book. Well, he's not really in the comic book industry. He's kind of made his own parallel comic book industry, which is kind of the point of this book. The first book made $3.7 million, and the second one is, I think, at 2.1 at the moment. So I got mine. I ordered mine like at 9 in the morning, the day it went live for sale, and so I got mine pretty quickly here. It came in this the box was great in the sense that there was no issues whatsoever. Nothing was bent, nothing was broken, nothing was anything like that. So, good on him. I got cover A, which is actually kind of my favorite cover. And then I also got cover B by Ethan Van Sciver. Also in the box, I got the shirt, the Catch Street shirt. I like this shirt actually a little bit more than the one from the previous campaign, which I also have. And then it also came with a bookmark, a double-sided bookmark here with, I don't know if you can tell, but the Isom on there is gold. It reflects, and then it is also reflective here. So pretty cool stuff. I also got a set of the cards. I had originally thought it was going to be the cards for this issue, and then I realized it wasn't. But it's okay. I'm just gonna resell those for a pretty penny later. So yeah, let's get right into the review then, shall we? The first thing that I want to talk about is the art. The art is significantly better than it was last time. Just as a quick reminder for some people who didn't see my Isom number 1 review, which is most of you, this particular scene is an example I used for how the action sometimes didn't really make any sense kinetically. Some of it, not all of it. I'm just saying this. Here's a particular scene I was pointing out. That Santuan and Isom are jumping at each other, and then in the next shot here, they slide by each other, and the question what happened there? The good news is that this is not really an issue in issue number 2. Cliff Richards does a significantly better job of showing the kinetic aspect of the action, so you don't get lost in what's going on. He also does a really great job of the backgrounds in this issue. The backgrounds in the first one were a little simple and sometimes left a little to be desired for the location of where we're at. And so since he puts a lot more detail into the backgrounds in this issue, it helps the reader kind of get engrossed in the story and not get kind of pulled out where are we? What's going on here? What is this location? To be honest, I'm still not a fan of there's a lot of tilt shots Richards does, like top-down shots. I just don't like those shots, but that's just personal. That's subjective. And other people really like those, so what does my opinion matter? I also can't draw for shit, so I'm not going to, hammer at this guy for something that is a personal taste. But I would say, all in all, I was pleasantly surprised with the art. I thought it was significantly better than the first issue, and it now leaves no doubt in my mind as to okay, Cliff Richards illustrating Isom is going to be good. Now onto the story. It essentially picks up right where we left off. I don't want to spoil it, as this review will hopefully be out sooner than most people get their books. So essentially what I can say though is that the thread lines that they introduced in the first story are built upon. All of them except for the people who are really going to get their own issues anyway, like Yaira and Norfolka. They do even they do a scene with the Alpha Corps, who's going to get a treatment by Chuck Dixon in a little bit here. And hopefully Chuck Dixon will be able to write Braxwell as eloquently as Eric July did. My favorite character that's introduced here, by the way, they introduce not lots, but several new characters in here. Sydney Bloodruth is one of them. She's on the main cover for Ethan Van Sciver's version. But my favorite character they introduced was this guy named Gooding. Here, I'll show you this picture here. I didn't take many pictures of the actual interior because most people don't have it yet, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to spoil too much. I don't want to show people too much. But this is kind of like an advertisement for Gooding's services. He's essentially like a... Excuse me. He's essentially an accept for hire, kind of like the Heroes for Hire, except he also does fire rescue, that kind of thing. He's super cool. I thought he was really cool. So yeah, that's him there. We can see that in this story, like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but we can see in this story that accepts are like a totally accepted phenomenon kind of across the country. There's also another reference to the War of Separation, I think it's called, which I assume at this point is some civil war that occurred in America. They don't give too much away, but it peppers it in there to get you interested. One thing that I will talk about that I found really, really fascinating was Isom and Bloodruth are talking about these creatures, because Isom's trying to... I'm going to stop there. They're talking about these creatures that they think came from hell. And Isom makes a comment as if he doesn't think that they're from the hell. And Bloodruth is like, well, how do you know that? And he's like, just trust me, I would know. That stuff gets me going. I want to know what that's all about. So, yeah. I don't want to get too much into the details provided in this book, because other people will be able to do that later and after they've read it. Next, we have the dialogue. July's gotten a lot better since last issue with his dialogue. I appreciated how certain characters sounded distinct from others, Isom being chief amongst them. This is accomplished with the judicial application of conjunctions. And if there's one thing I would nitpick on in the first issue, it's how few conjunctions were used. But in this one, it seems, because when you don't use conjunctions, it makes the dialogue seem a little bit robotic. But anyway, there's a good smattering of conjunctions in this issue, and they were much appreciated. There is a few times the dialogue could sound a little bit better. So here, I'll show you an example of this. This is when Isom is talking to Gooding about something. Gooding says, "There lives one of my greatest sources of intel. Tell her everything. She's the only one who would know if something weird is happening in this area. Tell her everything." So, okay. My issue with this is that, okay, so first he says, tell her everything, implying that he tells her everything. I actually like this because he leaves out the I, like, I tell her everything. Just tell her everything. Problem is, right beneath that, he says, tell her everything. This time kind of implying that he wants Isom to tell her everything. It just seems a little repetitive, and it's a little confusing. It's either repetitive, or there's another option that Gooding has this kind of tick where he just says the same thing over again. That is an option. Stranger things have happened. But that's a very minor nitpick. But it's just things like that I would maybe change a little bit. So yeah, I'm a very, very satisfied customer. I was kind of a little bit surprised by how much better this was than the first one. And the world building doesn't, like, it. They opened a lot up with the first issue, where they introduced a lot of concepts and a lot of character names and things, and with this one they continue to open it up. Well, rather, July continues to open it up. I was actually a really satisfied customer. The art is obviously improved too. Cliff Richards, Gabe El Taib is a great colorist. Really big fan of his as well. So yeah. Sorry I was a little late again, ladies and gentlemen, but I hope that you at least could take something of value away from this review. If this affects you at all in your purchasing of Isom 2, like say you purchased the first one and you're like, I don't know, about getting number 2. Get number 2. It's good. So, and the main question is, I can talk all I want and like tweets all I want, but the main question is am I going to be buying this, Isom number 3? And the answer is categorically yes. I'm going to be buying this. I'm going to be buying Alpha Core. I'm going to be buying Yaira. Maybe Norfolka, but those other 3 for sure. For sure. I am 100% going to be a returning customer. So, thanks guys for joining me. Pick up Isom number 2 if you can. And, yeah, have a good one. Let's switch over to the outro. Let's go to the outro. All right. Bye.